Peace, infinite waters, diving deep once again. How to connect with the greatest part of yourself, your higher nature, that part of you that whispers in your ear saying, why did you forget about me? Can I get a hello there? I get a lot of questions from people asking if I could talk about the higher nature, third eye, pineal gland, how to connect with it. Why does it become disconnected from us? Why do we become disconnected from it? I can share with you what's helped me along my journey. Don't believe anything I say until you know it for yourself. In ancient mythology, I love reading those books. You often see that humans are depicted as half animal and half human. Theseus and the Minotaur, Medusa. I could go on. Because the sages in ancient times, they saw that man, woman, was a wild beast, but also a god. Half of hell and half of heaven. Now, here is where it gets really interesting. They saw that humans, their main purpose was to transcend their lower nature and rise into their higher nature to become their greatest versions. Well, they didn't say become your greatest version. I did. Now, they realized that the reason why so many people get stuck in the lower nature is because it takes incredible mastery to rise to your higher nature. So, in ancient times and still today, the few that were able to reach and rise towards their higher nature basically controlled everyone. So, if you want to become super powerful, what I discovered is that you have to connect with the greatest part of yourself. How I did this, let me just share with you a little story. You right now, imagine yourself as a seed buried deep underground. You're very vulnerable right now. You're like a little baby. Therefore, you need to be fed. You are in your lower nature, which is perfectly, amazingly beautiful, by the way, because everything and everyone is already divine, they just don't know it. So this seed is trying to find nutrients. It's greedy. It is self-centered. It only cares about itself. That is how so many of us live on the planet. What I call, in the 4 levels of consciousness, the drone archetype. Robots controlled by our lower desires. So underground, underworld, underwear. In ancient times, it was all about raising the energy up. Because the dragon, which is symbolic of your sexual energy, in fact is the very force we need to create life. So without your lower nature, guess what? You wouldn't be here. Because the gonads, the adrenal glands, this is essential to be alive. It is the foundation. But so many of us get stuck right at the bottom. And we think that is all there is. So in meeting your highest self, your highest nature, the higher regions that exist, the ambrosia of the gods, taste it, it's delicious. I started to question my reality. I realized that there was more. And it was hard because growing up, for a small period, I thought life wouldn't get any better. Whenever you close yourself off all possibilities around you, you now live strictly in your lower nature. When you're just trying to fit in, you're accepting, you're going along to get along, you're just feeding yourself, not really concerned about anybody else but yourself. You're greedy, you're reacting to what everybody does. You're a robot in a perpetual state of fear. Fear runs your life. You are in your lower nature. When you are getting bullied by your sexual urges, you are in your lower nature. If we go on to the second level of consciousness, the archetype, which is the artist is now entering the higher regions. So just like that seed, it is now germinating. It is now beginning to come up on the surface. That's why you see many artists. You know about them. Why? Because they show themselves to you. So they are on the way to becoming that sequoia tree, that amazing willow tree, fully blossoming. Because once again, the seed contains all the potential information the seed will ever be. It's fascinating. So the artist is always speaking, standing up for what they believe in. It is just a belief sometimes, driven by heavy emotion, which is wonderful. But when you become the alchemist, you are now entering your higher nature. Why so? Because the alchemist is all about transforming negative energy, converting it into gold, and it is someone who is making the best out of whatever they have. The alchemist is now this tree which is growing at a rapid rate. It is someone who is now questioning their reality, not just sitting at home, eating popcorn, watching the daily news. The alchemist says to themselves, who are these people? Who is creating my reality? Who am I handing my power over to? Who are they? As an alchemist, you also become aware that you can't just be independent. Because once again, in our lower nature, we are solely concerned about ourselves. So we're not thinking about unity, awareness, consciousness. But the alchemist now knows that everyone who is around them can teach them something. And therefore, you begin to interact with people in a totally different way. Instead of just reacting to someone stepping on your shoe and saying, ouch, don't do that. You might say that, but then you ask, why did you do it? What is this saying about me? What am I attracting into my life? But the fourth level of consciousness, which is the wizard archetype, is where you become a dark worker and a light worker. You combine the two together, your lower nature and your higher nature. So look at it like this. You are now this seed and you are now this tree. Guess what? You are now bearing fruit. So you are now expanding as this massive tree. And what is nourishing you? What is nurturing you? The sunlight, the water, the air. Being in alignment to the celestial cycles in the universe. So, at the root, your lower nature, you are firmly rooted, you are firmly grounded, but you are also connected to the heavens, your higher nature, because you know there is more to life. Many times, with the distractions all around us, a lot of us, we say, well, this is my life. My parents live like this. My life is going to be like this. The wizard knows anything can change with the mindset, with the feeling, with the embodiment of it. Many times you have to ask yourself, are you gonna let fear consume you or love guide you? Are you gonna let the dragon take you on a really, really crazy ride? Or are you gonna learn how to ride the dragon? Because the wizard and the dragon are best friends. Symbolically speaking, once again, the dragon is your lower nature. So the wizard and the dragon are best friends. So once you now use fear to power your greatest ideals and visions and states of being, now the lower nature isn't so bad after all. It's not something that we have to get rid of. No, it is something we have to channel. We have to master. We have to go within ourselves. Many of us, we're living based on society's expectations, based on what other people think of us. But once again, that creates a lot of fear. That can draw us down into the lower regions. The higher regions are limitless. There is no worry because you know there is no limit. Because of that, you now realize that you can learn from people. Synchronicity starts to happen. People pop out of the blue. As that pineal gland is activating, once again, you give it the right conditions for it to activate even faster. You become more aware of your circadian rhythm, your sleep and wake cycles. Sleeping just before 2 p.m., 2 a.m., if you sleep over 2 a.m., once again, the melatonin is not going to be in as much abundance as if you sleep before 2 a.m. Because there are laws which we are all governed by. Once again, the drone archetype just feels whatever they do has no consequence. The wizard is wise, and even though the wizard knows that they can create their own reality, at the same time, they also realize that other people's realities also influence theirs. Because of this, you want to actively help humanity. Many people have come back for the final show here on planet Earth to help raise the frequency. Because they know if they just sit down and meditate, and meditation also helps raise us to those higher regions, to that higher state, it's not just gonna change things. Things don't just change by themselves. We have to help change them. But you can only do that once you change yourself. Once you overcome the fear, the doubt, the shame, the disbelief, all of those negative attitudes you have towards yourself, all of this keeps us stuck. in the underworld, in the belly of the beast. When we are embracing more natural organic food, we can connect with our highest nature. When we are not afraid of entering the unknown. Because so long as we are doing what we've always done, we will only get what we've always got. Your higher nature means you have to start doing what has never been done before. In essence, you enter a new frontier, and now you become your greatest version. Have a wonderful day. We are here. Infinite waters, diving deep once again. Stay well. Stay healthy. Peace.